Hi, everybody. It's Christina Quick, the Tarot Biz Mentor here from the Profitable Psychic Business and Divination Academy. Welcome to today's video. I'm running this live inside the Profitable Psychic group, so give me just a moment to make sure that I can get us pinned so everybody can find the chat box. If you are watching this live, say hello. Let us know where you are listening from. We are going to be continuing on in our series for psychic development mediumship in particular. And today we're going to be talking about how to utilize beginner trance induction to elicit mediumship experiences. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it's all about. Oh, thanks, Pamela. Yeah, so sorry, you guys. I don't, for some reason, Facebook is very buggy today. It's been kicking me out on and off, so that's why I'm here using StreamYard. But hopefully everybody will see that the time changed and that they'll be able to get here. Hi, Paige. Hello. Good to see you. Welcome in. So those of you who are listening, this is a series that has been ongoing now for the last month or so. Hi, Josephine. Hi, Leah. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you. Originally, we started this about a month back. So there's already 3 episodes, plus I have already some trainings on mediumship on my YouTube channel. Oh, you are having problems too? Okay, so it's not just me. It's not just me. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Marissa. Good to see you. So good. Yes. Okay. Glad the timing worked out for everybody. All right. So what are some things that we've already talked about? So in the previous videos, we have talked about what is a medium? How is a medium different from a psychic? How does a medium communicate with other spirits and other worlds, other dimensions? We've talked a lot about dream work as being one of the main gateways into mediumship work. So just to recap a little bit on that, hi. Just to recap on that, I recommend that if you are a budding medium or you're looking to get more control over your mediumship abilities, to start a dream journal, because one of the best ways that you can begin to get psychic mediumship information is through dreams, because it's where your subconscious is more activated and your consciousness, your motor functions are asleep, so you can process things a lot easier and a lot in a safer way, right? So a lot of the time spirits will talk to us in metaphors within our dreams, and within our dreams there's a lot of symbolism that can be deconstructed. You can look at each symbol within your dream as a psychic symbol and read each of those symbols. So for example, you have a dream that you want to connect with a certain person on the other side, so you set the intention before you go to the dream space, right? You then have a dream, say you're walking through the park and there's people feeding ducks and there's trees and specific things. Okay, so each one of those things within your dream is a symbol that you can read on. So you can do a lot of dream divination and get a lot of information, kind of like reverse engineering a psychic mediumship reading, where you can kind of go back and kind of do it in a divination type of way. Now, so if you have got that down and you've been doing your dream journal, have any of you been doing your dream journal, by the way? Have any of you had any experiences? So well, the last week we talked about different ways that you can protect yourself, and we talked a lot about dream journaling too. So you guys have had 2 weeks. Have any of you actually got your dream journal together? Have you guys had an experience? If you have, go ahead and just tell me about it in the comments and I'll come back around to it and read it. So you do. Okay, so Marissa does. Yes, so Marissa is very, very much, she does a lot of instruction on dream work. I used to do tons of dream journals, not lately. Okay, so now it might be a great time to get back into it. Oh, Pamela says you found your dream journal. Okay, were you halfway there? Right? So let's move beyond dreaming and getting mediumship information within dreams, which happens to be one of the more safe and secure ways to get mediumship information, especially if you don't have like a conscious ability to kind of control it yet. So the second way that you can start eliciting psychic mediumship information is by trance induction. Now, trance induction is a very interesting concept, isn't it? Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful, Paige. She said she just finished a full weekend of tarot readings. It was wonderful angel psychic reading. That's great. Whenever I do whenever I do psychic fairs and things like that, I always break out my angel tarot cards because I feel like those are such high vibe and people really love those. So always a good time to when the angels are involved, right? Always a high vibe time. And so now we want to, as we're dreaming, the whole idea with doing the dream work, beyond it just being a safe container, is that we are building what is called neuroplasticity. Oh, okay. Hi, Jessica. Now, is anybody familiar with what neuroplasticity is? Has anybody heard of what this is? So basically, it's a scientific term, and what it really means is the ability for our brains to become flexible when encountering any type of stimuli. Now, usually we consider stimuli in a negative form. Usually, that's how we kind of work around it. So when you are operating in the world and you're operating just as a normal person, so a lot of what we do when we go on to a spiritual journey is a self-healing journey, right? We're looking to kind of heal a lot of our triggers, heal a lot of our shadows, find different areas of where we have fear around topics and things that could be rational or irrational, wherever we have experienced trauma. I think a lot of a lot of us go on a spiritual journey. How if we find out that doing readings for other people or doing coaching for other people is part of that spiritual journey, that's one thing. But I think all of us go to a spiritual journey or begin a spiritual journey because we've sort of hit rock bottom, right? And so most of us are operating within our lower chakras, our root and our sacral chakras. And these are what we call the fight or flight responses, right? So when you are typically just a person in this world, you typically have two major responses to outside stimuli. You either your nervous system either wants to fight or it wants to flee. Okay. Now there are other responses, stimuli responses that we can cultivate. And how we do that is called through neuroplasticity. And so, what that does, neuroplasticity is an exercise that we can do in order to train our nervous system to have more than just four basic responses. If you consider the other two F's and feed and the other F, intimacy, right? So we have four basic responses, but there are a whole bunch more, right? And so as we kind of go on the spiritual journey, we learn to like awaken our chakras, and within each chakra is another mode of being, another dimension of experiencing the world, right? And so there's more to it than just fight, flee, feed, and so on. And that's what neuroplasticity is. So that in the event that we experience something traumatic or just slightly uncomfortable, it doesn't even have to be traumatic. It doesn't even have to be like a car accident or something. It can be something as just as like a loud sound that happens in your environment. Okay. A lot of you who have PTSD can probably relate to this. You have a lot of irrational or maybe rational types of situations that happen that you get like you have a nervous system response to it. Okay. And so a lot of us do a lot of like vagus nerve type of exercises like acupuncture, acupressure. That's one way that you can develop neuroplasticity. Another way that you can develop neuroplasticity is through meditation. That's why meditation is such a great gateway into spirituality, because what it does is it helps you silence out that frontal cortex. So what we really do in meditation or in trance induction, it's all a form of self-hypnosis. And so what does self-hypnosis do? What it does is it helps us shut down that prefrontal cortex, right? That's in charge of immediately assessing situations. It's in charge of motor control, that sort of thing. So if you have a freeze kind of response and you disassociate, that's one response that you can have. If you have a fight response, then that's a response that your prefrontal cortex is kind of in charge of making happen, right? So there's a lot of different places in your brain that's activated when things are happening. Now, when we do self-hypnosis, what we're really doing is we are quieting that reasoning, reactive sort of part of our brain so that we can quiet that down and have different parts of our brain begin to connect to different areas. So yes, it's similar to breath work. Breath work is another way that you can increase neuroplasticity. Running, exercise, walking is another way you can increase neuroplasticity. Yoga is a fantastic way to increase neuroplasticity, because what you're doing in yoga is you're getting yourself into different bendy positions and focusing on different muscles that your brain has not had to comprehend how to stand. Monkey mind, exactly. Page. So, and so hypnosis is one of the ways that we learn to kind of have that space, that space between what is happening around us and how we're processing that information and what is our reaction. So it makes us slower. We call it living in the present moment, right? But what it is it's a sort of repetitive activity that shuts down our prefrontal cortex. And what it does is it allows that very integral, very protective part of our brain to shut down so that we can physically begin creating new neural pathways in our brains. All right. And these neural pathways, so if for something happens, say we were to have a heart attack or we were to have a stroke or something like that. And I know this is getting way off topic here, but just understanding the general concept of what trance induction and what meditation and what self hypnosis actually does on a physical level is it creates new superhighways in our brain so our brain can function. If you've ever seen stories about people who have lost half of their brain in crazy accidents, they got into say a car accident, right? And they lost half their head got punched out or punched in. They lost half their brain. And so we know a lot about the brain, but what we don't really know is how the brain can still continue to function despite not having certain areas of our brain still left. So say, for example, when you have a stroke, there are certain areas of your brain that gets damaged. If you are the type of person who has practiced meditation, has practiced mindfulness, has practiced things like yoga or qigong or breath work and stuff like that, what you're going to do is you're going to create new ways for your brain to communicate with other parts of your brain. And so even though you may not have access to certain parts of your brain, so you go through an injury or you just go through trauma, because trauma is an injury, right? An uncomfortable situation is an injury. And so what it does is it allows your mind to continue thinking and continue processing when other parts of your brain are in freeze mode. Oh, that's really interesting, Paige says. In Chinese medicine, even though it's not there, it is there energetically. And I fully believe that. I fully believe that. So I'm saying all of this because when you are developing your psychic abilities, developing them is another path, another vehicle in which you can develop neuroplasticity. If you've ever wondered why when you're learning tarot cards, why it's so hard in the beginning, and then after you do this for a couple years, you do a couple hundred readings, and then the cards back and forward and it becomes easy. It's because your brain has formed these new associations. It's not like one night you just woke up and you automatically knew all the cards. It's through that repetitive action. And it's the same when it comes to doing psychic readings without tools and doing psychic mediumship readings where you're connecting with other dimensions, other high vibrational beings, other areas, other types of alternate realities. Okay, when you can kind of use your psychic abilities to kind of travel the multiverse and to travel these potential realities. And so when you're doing your psychic abilities, probably one of the scariest ways that we encounter some uncomfortable feelings is when we are talking about mediumship. Let's just be honest, mediumship is kind of scary, right? Because we're talking with beings that have some alleged consciousness that we can't visually always see. And so that can be very scary. And it can also be very scary. Oh, there's a little spider crawling across the top of my computer. And that's interesting. I've had Spider has been coming to me all the time. Spider's actually one of my totems. So definitely this little guy has a message for me. So Spider, interesting how that kind of happens. Anyways, so mediumship can be scary, especially if you are talking about mediumship and you have unhealed lineage where you have ancestors that you don't want to talk to, or you have people on the other side that were abusive towards you. It can really put you off. And mediumship can also be scary because, we've talked about mediumship and pop culture and how mediumship and pop culture it's scary because they show people with gory faces and their head blown off and blood's all over them, and they're like these disembodied, discarnate beings and stuff like that. So we have this perpetual cultural societal image of mediumship as this bloody, gory thing, and it's very rare, in my opinion, unless I'm doing like a murder, like an unsolved murder, or there was an actual crime involved in the reading that I'm doing. Other than that, most of the times that I do mediumship, they are not coming across that way. So a lot of this fear around mediumship has a lot to do with these perceptions that we have. But once we actually start working within mediumship, we realize it really doesn't look like, what the movies have to say about it. So if you are someone who is still kind of scared of connecting to mediumship, if you're still somewhat scared of, connecting to beings, because that's what mediumship really is the ability to connect with the spirit within things, whether it's the spirit within this crystal, the spirit within this box, the spirit within those plants, the spirit within the herbs. Okay. So talking to dead people, that's just one tiny facet of mediumship. But what it really is it's about opening up the lines of communication between you and the spirit, the consciousness that is contained within what we call vessels, right? I began tarot without teaching. Will mediumship be the same? Absolutely. And you probably, chances are, everybody here who is listening has had mediumship experiences, right? You just may not know. If you have been to a certain place that, for example, you didn't know why you felt sadness, but then found out someone was murdered there, or it was the site of a tragedy, then you're, clear empathically picking up on that situation. That is mediumship. You're speaking with the aura, the energy, the energetic field of that place. If you've had dreams of people that have passed on, that you've had communications with them, or if they told you things within those dreams, or you've just had dreams of people that you're doing something with them, but they are passed on. And we even talked about this too. You can talk to the people's spirit that are still living. So you can also do mediumship readings for people that are still actually here. It's about petitioning the spirit or spirits within that person or within that thing. Okay. So trance induction is a form of self-hypnosis. You can do it on yourself, and you can do it quite well. If you've ever experienced Shavasana and yoga, then you kind of know that's kind of what hypnosis feels like. If you've ever been hypnotized, then you kind of know what it feels like. So there's two kind of general ways that hypnosis can feel. First of all, there is about a 3 to 4 step process to hypnosis. First, you're going to go in, and then you're going to do your inductions, which is what's going to take you under. And then you're going to do your deepenings. All right. And then there's the return. So there's a 4-step process, maybe 5-step process to self-hypnosis, right? Yeah, Gemma is super helpful. So if you can learn to do this, then what basically you're doing is you're doing the same thing you're doing in your dreams, but you're doing it while you're awake. A lot of people can do this through yoga, can do this through running. So a lot of people need an active form of meditation. I used to be a person that needed an active form of meditation. I would have to run, or I'd have to walk, or I would have to do yoga or something like that to achieve that space where my mind would shut up long enough to where I could actually process what was actually being, shown to me, and be able to understand what is going on, and in regards to the psychic symbols, the messages, the dreams that I was receiving. You can also do this through sound. And sound, any type of repetitive motion, is what is actually going to induce it, because the repetitive motion, we think about hypnosis and we think about, doing like the pendulum swinging back and forth, or using a metronome, like what you do to keep time when you're doing music, though, right? Or utilizing a clock, or you can utilize a heartbeat. You can utilize drumming. You can utilize singing bowls. You can utilize in hypnagogic state. Exactly. That's what it is. Okay. So Gemma says, yes. So Edgar Casey did all his readings in a hypnagogic state. That's exactly what this is. Okay. So I really like to drum, but more than drumming, because drumming can I live in suburbia. And so drumming can kind of be loud, but what I really love is to use rattles, or I like to use, you go to YouTube and just literally type in shamanic drumming, no music, and you can find recordings. You can purchase lots of soundtracks and stuff like that. Yeah, right. So you rattle, yeah. So if you can also use like binaural beats to do this as well. So some videos might be like shamanic drumming with binaural beats where they'll have like certain frequencies. Moonly app is great. Okay, so that's one to check out, you guys. Check out Moonly app. So there's different ones, and if it's too loud, then you can just use earbuds, right? And you'll get the binaural beats. You can also use things like tuning forks and things like that. But the idea is that you want to put as little effort into creating that repetition as possible so that it's really easy for you. That's why drumming is pretty good, because you can just kind of hold it here and do that. Listening to a heartbeat. Marissa Lovett talks a lot about that. She has a training on that in her Patreon with her sister, Kirsten, the shamanic earth medicine one. So they are also percussionists and singers as well. So they do they have musical things like that, and they do a lot of rattling. And they both have a lot of videos and stuff like that where you can get that. Gong, yeah, that's another good one. A gong is another good one. So I prefer rattles. So these are gourds that were painted. I purchased these from someone on the south of the border. Carandisimo or Carando, I think they're called. But basically, I purchased them from an indigenous person. And this was the first one I started off with. So it's a gourd that's been painted, and it's actually got a serpent, because serpent is my main birds. Yeah, nature. I mean, it could be bird song. It could be water. It could be a fountain that you listen to. You could turn on rain sounds or thunder sounds. Whatever you're going to be attracted to. You can even listen to ASMR. Yes, they're made from gourds. Aren't they beautiful? So this is the first one I ever got, and this is a really good one. And this is my second one that I got, and this is a specific one for healing, for when I'm doing journeying, when I'm actually doing journaling. Journeying, not journaling. Journeying. So shamanic journeying. We're not going to talk about that today, but we can talk about it in a future video. Or spiral is important as yes, it is. And so it's a snake, but it's also a spiral. And so what I do is I put it in my dominant hand, and I'll close my eyes and make sure my feet are on the floor. And what I really like to do is actually create like a little fort for myself. Like I'll put some pillows down, put some blankets around. Maybe I'll light a candle or light some incense, and maybe I'll do like a prayer or a chant or something like that. Or just simply ask that I am protected, and that all my spirit team is with me, and that may no evil come in and do any harm to anyone involved. So that's kind of how I preface this. And so then I will close my eyes. I will set my intention. What is my intention? My intention is simply to become into an altered state. I may not set an intention about who I want to contact, or what being I want to contact, or what shamanic journey I might want to have. Okay. In the beginning, you may just, I got these guys, these came from Etsy. Yes. Oh, okay. They would be confiscated. Okay. Yeah. So Etsy is really good to get tools. Yes. Oh, didgeridoo. Yes. Those are really cool too. Those are really neat. Have you ever seen those ones where it's like the turtle shell, where you can, it's like what's that? Not a kaleidoscope, a xylophone. A xylophone where it's kind of like a xylophone. Yeah. So if I just want to get into a state, and this is something you might want to do on a daily basis. This is maybe part of your meditation routine, because what we're doing is we're doing this so we can contact other spirits. But what we're doing is we're training our brain to shut down that frontal cortex and allow our neuroplasticity to happen. Okay. And so it's a very physical thing. It's hard to understand exactly what's happening, because so much of it feels like it's in our third eye. It feels like it's in our brain, but there are physical things actually happening to your brain as you are doing this. All right. So maybe I will sit here and do this for 20 minutes, and I will just start, and I'll start with a good pace, just a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And then I will continue doing that. And you may feel that your body will sway. Sometimes my body will go forward. You will find a rhythm. And as you do this, you will find that you will just automatically start. Like it's like breath work. You know, in the beginning, you're like, okay, breathe in, breathe out. Over time, your nervous system, your vagus nerve will calm down, and then you'll just automatically get into a routine with it. Okay. And this is about how much I like mine to go. Just like a forceful, you can even put it close to your heart. You can do whatever you want with it. Okay. And then the different rattles, and you may have to play around with rattles, or you may have to play around with instruments, because I noticed that certain, see, if you listen to this one. Now, if you listen to this one, this one is a higher pitched one. It's because of the shape of the gourd, right? This gourd is thicker, so it has a more muffled sound. This gourd is smaller, so it has a higher pitched sound. And so you may find that you may be sensitive to certain types of pitches, certain types of frequencies. So if you're not getting results, and you buy one rattle or you buy one drum and you're not getting results, I also like it because I can just kind of hold it. Yeah, you can use a baby rattle too. Absolutely. Gemma says, when you create ritual sounds, sight, or smell, like burning incense or Palo Santo, you create neural pathways that will help you drop in. Yes. So what they're kind of like, they become psychological triggers that they're like, okay, I'm here. Okay, I'm in this space. You may also decide to work with certain guides. So this is Nui. We've talked about Nui before. So in my previous videos, you can go learn about her. This is another guide that I work with. This is a polar bear guide. This is an ancestral guide for me. I have a lot of Finnish and Scandinavian heritage. So I work a lot with polar bear, and I also work a lot with reindeer. I do not have a reindeer totem yet, but these are also, you know, you can have these out and you can have them near you. You can put them in your bra. You can just, you know, put them wherever you want so that they're on with you. So you have your protectors. We talked a lot about protectors in the last one. So if you want to know more about protectors, watch that one. Yours are black bear and wolf. Okay, yeah. So you guys kind of understand what I'm saying. So what you're going to do is you're going to, as you begin to rattle, you're going to start to kind of disassociate in a healthy way. And so I know, me too. I have a bunch of animals too. And I have a bunch of outdoor animals. And I have a bunch of animals on me. So I just like animals too. And animal allies. They help me a lot. So you're going to have like two things kind of happen. One of two things, or maybe both things kind of happen. It just depends. Everybody's a little bit different. So as you are rattling and you're going through that, and your frontal cortex is starting to start to quiet down, you're going to either have an experience where your body sinks into itself and you feel like you weigh 5,000 pounds. Like it's going to be so hard to like move your arm. It's going to feel like it's impossible. And you're going to kind of start to sort of sink into your surrounding. That's why I like to like build a fort, so that it's really comfortable and I can just be cocooned in these blankets and pillows and stuff like that. And so I love that experience. And then another type of experience you may have is that as you're rattling, you have an OBE, which is an out of body experience. The sinking is like a grounding. So it's like grounding. So you can do a lot of grounding and healing work if you can achieve that. The other one is having an OBE, where you kind of lift up and out of your body, and you kind of have this experience where your body just goes kind of, you feel like you don't have a body anymore. And your brain just kind of feels like it starts floating up and up and up. And then you can kind of get like these tingles that kind of happen around your crown chakra area. And that is the beginning stage of having an OBE, an out of body experience, and where you can begin to shamanic journey. So when you're sinking in, it's more of a grounding kind of feeling. When you're doing kind of like lower world kind of work, we'll talk about the different kind of dimensions and worlds that you can go to. That'll be in the, you know, some of the next trainings. But just to give you guys a sneak peek, a little bit about that information would be like, depending on where you're feeling pulled, if you're pulled out, if you're feeling pulled down, if you're feeling pulled up, that is a vehicle to get to a different place dimensionally. All right. So a lot of you will actually feel that pulling up and pulling up and pulling up. that is where most people jolt out of it. That's where most people get scared and they come through. Okay. And then they come back. So you should always know that whenever you're doing any type of self-hypnosis, you're never going to lose control of your body. It's not like where, the hypnotists on the show, TV shows are like, okay, now you think you're a duck and now you quack or something like that. Or now all you can think about is pink Volkswagens, right? It's not quite like that. Whenever you're in a hypnotic state, you are very aware of what's going around you, but you basically that fight or flight response has just kind of settled down, and so you're aware. And as you're aware and in taking in stimulus, that's when you're actually building those neural pathways. Okay, going down is easier for me than going up, and so that's a good point. And so if you guys don't feel like you're ready to have an out of body experience or to do any type of shamanic journeying, then you may want to consider setting your intentions to be sinking into the earth and grounding into the earth. That may feel safer for you. Okay. But if you get to a point when you're doing this and you feel, and you may take you several times, it may take you 10, 20, 30, 50 times of doing this before you feel comfortable of letting go and letting your body go out. And you will see things that will happen in your mind's eye. It will happen as though you are, say, watching a movie in your mind's eye. And wherever you go, you can go to different worlds. You can go to the place of the ancestors. You can go to the place of the venerated spirits, like ascended masters. You can go to places beyond that. You can go to different realms, like where the Fae might live, or the plant allies, or the animal allies, things like that. There's different locations that you can go. You've had OBEs during meditation, Gemma says, during my 2 NDEs and while I sleep. Yeah, I have. If you've ever had those dreams where you wake up and you you get slapped back into your body, if you guys have ever had those are basically OBEs where you're floating around and you're somewhere else. I will tell you that this takes practice, and it can be kind of frustrating in the beginning because it can feel like nothing has happened, but you have to realize that you are creating these highways from scratch. And so your brain literally just needs time. And as you do this, you will get to a point where you don't even need to. I barely use my rattles anymore. Sometimes I just do it in ceremony and ritual, just because I like to do it and to keep that skill active. But after you do this several times, a couple months, you will be able to access that state simply by closing your eyes and doing your breath work and getting into that state. Okay. So just remember things like drums, rattles, anything like that, sound tools, YouTube audios, whatever. Just understand that these are all tools to help you achieve this state, but it's not required. It just kind of helps you. I know it is weird. And Paige says, I've been thinking about different places where I think I've met my doppelgangers. Yes. And I do a thing like that similarly called quantum jumping. That's based off of Burt Goldman's process of quantum jumping, where you meet your other selves and you can bring back the frequency signature of that other self into this reality. And you can go to certain realities through somatic journeying, through a self-hypnotic state, where you can go to certain realities in which you have achieved something, or certain realities in which you already expressed something easily, or certain realities where you've already healed and you can bring that information, that energy signature, back to this reality. And these are all skills of the shaman, of the psychic medium. I actually have a quiz, you guys, you can take. It's called Discover Your Soul's Calling. It's completely free, and you can take it. It's a 5-question quiz, and you can figure out, like, do I have a lot of shamanistic tendencies within me? There's actually 4 archetypes. There's the healer, there's the warrior, there's the shaman, and there's the mystic. I am 50% and 50% warrior shaman, and then I have I think 25% mystic in there somewhere. So everybody has a combination. So I will get that link for you guys. Let me get that really quickly. If you go to theprofitablepsychic.com, it's like, if you look at the very front, it'll show like, take the quiz and click here to start here. That's what you're going to want to take. And then included in that is actually like 1-hour trainings on each of those archetypes. And there's also a free introductory course on making money basically with your spiritual gifts, and talking about, if you want to start coaching other people, or if you want to start utilizing your psychic mediumship gifts in a way to actually, make a profit in your life. Oh, Ingram, yes, she's great. She's a great core shamanism teacher for sure. Yeah, I'm spread out, mystic mostly, and then warrior and shaman. I got you. Absolutely. Okay, does anybody have any questions about how to get into this state? Now, what I want you guys to do is over this next week, I want you, if you haven't gotten your dream journal out and you haven't gotten that figured out, basically what you're going to do is you're going to begin. That spider is crawling all over my lamp now. It's a little jumping spider, so he's so cute. I don't know if you guys have jumping spiders where you are, but they're like these tiny little spiders that are like, they're not harmful or venomous or anything like that, but they're adorable because he's just literally jumping around, just being adorable. He's doing this thing, what I'm talking about. So get the dream journal out, do the dream journal, start incorporating that at least 3 times a week. Set at least one time a week in your meditation ritual routines, things like that, where you're going to try to get yourself into this state. And what you want to do is just simply set the intention that you are open to communication. And you also may want to also set the boundary that you want the communication to come through while you're in this state and not after that state. So you got to make, compromises, and you have to give boundaries with spirits and say, hey, don't come to me at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to sleep. Come to me when I'm doing the rattling. Okay. Or say, come to me when I'm doing rattling, or when I've set the intention that I'm open to communication. I always just simply say, whenever I have reserved those times for open communication, that's when I want to receive that information. Psychic symbols are a little bit different, like seeing animal totems or seeing numbers or angel feathers. Those are a little bit different because those are more like spirit guide types of things. Whereas actually opening up that line of communication, we want to make sure that we are setting boundaries around when that is appropriate and when that's not appropriate. And I just find speaking out loud what my intentions and boundaries are, that's usually all that's needed. Yes. Sign of the builder. Yes. And the weaver. Absolutely. I love jumping spiders too. In your bed the last few days. Oh, they're just they just want to snuggle up to you, Pamela. Yes. Okay. And great live today. I'm going to go ahead and get this up on YouTube. Next week, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be talking about. If you guys have any requests, definitely let me know. I'll probably just come up with the topic that day. Or maybe, maybe we will talk about shamanic journeying. Do you guys want to talk about that at all? Shamanic journeying, how that's kind of done, what kind of realms that you can kind of go to. If you guys are interested in that, it's not necessarily like mediumship. It's more of the shamanistic side of it, animistic side of it. But I'm happy to do a live about that. That would be kind of fun. Oh, really? Groundhog? Just walked by your front door the other day. I had a groundhog once that I could not get rid of. And I didn't want to call anybody to come get rid of it because they would have just, put it down. And I didn't want that to happen. They don't relocate things like that. They just put them down, unfortunately. So I cohabitated with this groundhog in my, he built like a tunnel under my front stairs underneath my deck in the front of my house. And he actually turned out to be a she, had babies, and then they were gone. But they stayed here for like a year and a half, and it was a really interesting time. It was a very interesting time. Okay. Yeah. I think there can be a definite overlap between journeying and mediumship. Oh, for sure. Oh, they do rip up your yard. Yeah. So that's why I said I had to kind of cohabitate with it, because if I would have gotten rid of it, they would have just put it down, and I didn't want to do that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys next Monday, and we will talk a little bit about shamanic journeying. We'll talk more about out-of-body experiences, OBEs. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about how to elicit that, what to do once you get into that state, and how to a little bit more about lucid dreaming. How about that? A little bit more about lucid dreaming, how to program lucid dreaming, and how to develop a lucid dreaming strategy to get yourself to learn how to lucid dream. All right. You're welcome, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you next week.